Good evening, all. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to welcome members of council, members of staff, and those of you joining us tonight on Zoom. We'll start by calling the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. and noting members present. We will begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on the land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishpahant First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Thank you, in Miigwech. We will now move on to item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda. May I have somebody make a motion to approve? Councillor Cannon? Councillor Hoffman is second? All in favor? Carried. There are no delegations or presentations. So we'll move on to item number 5, adoption of minutes. Item 5.1, Committee of the Whole meeting, Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. May I have someone make a motion to approve? Councillor Hoffman, may I have somebody make a motion to second? Councillor Hatfield, all in favor? Carried. There's no business arising out of the previous meeting, so we'll move on to item number 7, monthly reports. We've received 5 monthly reports. Does council have any questions or comments based on the information received from staff? Councillor Cannon?
Rebecca, you say in the capital project, you say the cemetery, you haven't heard back from the engineering service. Can you explain what that meant?
Yeah, so we have hired an engineer, Tulloch, to do the cemetery expansion, the preliminary design, and then we had asked them, because we had lots of budget left, if they would take care of tendering the project. We had tendered it around December, just before Christmas. We unfortunately had no bidders, so we tried to re-tender here in the new year. Unfortunately, I'm not sure of the status of that. I've tried calling the engineer a couple times every week the past couple weeks and haven't heard back, but I know they are busy with some pretty big road infrastructure projects, so I'm going to keep pushing them to try to get a response. We have had some communication breakdowns with our wawa.cc email address. I end up in their junk box a little bit, so I think that's kind of roadblocking us. So I'm going to continue to keep calling them and try to get a better timeline established for this spring.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Hoffman, do you have any questions, comments on the information received?
Okay, one. What is the problem? Aren't we just leveling the cemetery and planting grass, or is it
No, so there's actually some water infrastructure that's going in there for some new, because the new section's going to have additional roads, so they're going to set up the roads for that. There's a walking path. There's going to be the actual construction of the columbariums, which is the above ground sort of urns like that. So there is some engineering work associated with that and some construction work that's needed for that. And so it's just a matter of finding a contractor to do that work. So if, depending on how the results go from here, if somebody bids or not, we'll have to take the proper steps forward through our procurement policies to make sure that, you know, we're doing everything by the book. So I'm just trying to wait and see. But there is some bigger work to be done, and it'd be nice to have a contractor to do that work, because there is, like I said, some water lines and stuff that'll be going in there for, you know, people to have access to a hose to water flowers and things like that.
okay?
Councillor Hatfield, do you have any questions or comments? Did you want to use your microphone?
Alex, how many people would you have working this weekend? Because it's a real zoo up there.
So this weekend we would have 4 bartenders. We would have 3 canteen staff, 2 operators, and 1 admin staff who would be floating around and on call essentially. So the operators work shift work. So they would be working like a day shift and an afternoon shift. The canteen staff would be working based around the games that are scheduled. The bar staff work around the curling schedule, and then the admin staff acts as a floater if there's any scheduling issues, contracts, things like that.
We used to get our own kids to water the ice. Do they still do that?
Yeah, the curling club still gets volunteers who are students to pebble the ice. So we provide them a little bit of training, typically on the Friday night, so that they do it okay, and then they let them go.
Well, it's a very, very good time. The ladies thoroughly enjoy themselves. One other thing, Alex, just to give you a heads up, when the snow goes again, take a look at the track. You might have to call Provost back to get him to beat it down again.
Do you have any specific concerns about it?
There's all kinds of marks in it. There's dogs, there's walkers, there's bikes, and it's dug right in. And I thought, gee, I was surprised. And you said that we had a year, so I'm thinking maybe that if they got that roller thing back on there, it might really do it after the winter. But you'll see it because when the snow is gone,
For sure. Yeah, I'll take a look. So for council's information, we do have a year warranty period against substantial construction defects. We do expect to have to do seasonal maintenance to it, which would include raking and then repacking on an annual basis. That's one of the reasons we went with a crusher fine track, is because we can actually do that work in-house and we can add material where needed. So we'll certainly take a look with an eye to whether it is a warranty defect or whether it's just regular maintenance that we need to do.
yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know if it's a warranty defect. I never thought of that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, we can move on to new business. Item number 8.1, 2024-6 Municipal Airport Services Agreement. Rebecca, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So, and I'm not going to repeat this report word for word, but essentially, as a result of, the incident that we had at the airport, as well as some senior management taking leaves of absence, I kind of looked at the airport and it said, hey, this is a black box I don't know a lot about. I know lots about water and wastewater. I don't know a lot about airports. And so that was something that I had brought to the attention of our CAO Maury, and also Alex, as he has a staff member on his team who used to work at the airport and take care of all the paperwork and the operations and maintenance. And basically what we did was we came together with Lumex Group, had them do a preliminary sort of audit of our day-to-day, some of our paperwork, just take a look, make sure we were compliant. And essentially what they had come up with is there are better practices than what we are currently doing right now. There's more training. There's lots of things to cross our T's and dot our I's that we can be doing to provide better services for our users, which honestly, our airport is very busy. We get 3-4 airplanes a day sometimes, with more expected to come. So we just thought it would be a really great idea. Lumex Group is a consultant that can provide us with making sure our staff are trained, making sure our documents are up to date, meeting up with all the current regulations, because they do change from time to time. And so we realized it's time for a refresh, and Lumex Group gave us a really great proposal where they broke it down sort of over 5 years and said, okay, $24,000 to start, $24,000 the next year, 24 plus CPI, et cetera, et cetera. So we talked to them and said, hey, 5 years maybe seems a little long. Do you think we could condense this down to 3, with the option then to do a 1-year extension twice? So we might get to a 5-year program if we decide this is really working and we really like this, but at least with this 3-year program, we would be able to say, okay, all of our staff are fully trained. We've got all the right equipment and tools in place to be doing the sampling and testing of fuel that we need to be doing. And then administratively, we're improving our systems and making sure, billing is consistent, documents that get handed over to our treasury is consistent, because what we're finding is, having part-time staff that are sort of on a 3-week rotation consistency is hard to achieve. So we're just trying to find ways with Lumix Group to sort of implement different tools and techniques to make sure that we're consistent across the board in both our administrative, operation, and maintenance functions. So hopefully it's agreeable with you guys that we start into this 3-year contract. And if we're finding that the results are great, then we'll come back to the table and maybe take a look at what it would take to extend the contract if it's something that would be in our best interest.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Are there any questions or comments, concerns from council? Councillor Cannon?
I think it's a really good idea to get, especially Lumex, because we were so impressed with them with the other review that they did, to get somebody in to see where improvements can be made and everything. I think it's a really good idea.
Thank you.
Councillor Hatfield?
How many planes a day did you say were landing here?
Sometimes we can get up to 4. There was one day we actually had 4 orange airplanes stationed at our airport waiting for further direction to go to other places. They weren't even picking up patients from Wawa. They'd come to Wawa, fueled up, and then were waiting to be dispatched somewhere else. And that's just orange, but we have a Prop Air, almost 2 Prop Air planes every day from Alamos. We get 1 every so many days from Argonaut, and they've all expressed interest in extending that. So we're trying to now look at other ways that we can house some airplanes because we're running out of real estate. So.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that busy. Thanks.
Councillor Hoffman, do you have anything? So I think council is certainly aligned. I think I have one comment around CPI. I would really like us to define a specific CPI rate, whether it's Canada or a regional rate. There's definitely different sources where you can source a CPI rate, and I think it'll be beneficial for us to clearly identify that in the contract. But I think based on the comments received from council certainly aligned and agreeable to enter into a bylaw, which I believe that we'll see at a future council meeting, hopefully in April or May. And I'm seeing nodding heads, so we look forward to seeing that and reviewing that bylaw.
Thank you.
Item 8.2, municipal aerodrome staffing plan, and the floor is still yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So to supplement and go along with this report about Lumix Group, one of the major things that we noticed when comparing ourselves to other aerodromes of similar size that actually don't have quite as much traffic or more traffic is that they have a full-time staff member who's there, 7 to 3:30. They work a full-time job, and that they have found that they are successful with having that person there. It creates that administrative consistency. And so what we would like to propose is that with we're sort of trialing a person from our full-time team being out at the airport as part of the 1 week of 3 rotation that we currently have. They found it wasn't really for them. And so now we're kind of back down to 2 part-time staff that are going to be flipping bi-weekly until we could find a third person. And so to go along with making sure our staff have the training requirements they need, the administrative function of the airport is consistent, what we'd like to do is find a full-time staff member and then supplement them with part-time staff seasonally, so that either that be through summer students, so winter maintenance, operator, just kind of helping out here and there, have that person be cross-trained in the event that we maybe need some leave coverage, right? We know people take vacation. We know that they're sick. We also know that cross-training is really beneficial even for our full-time staff. And so that'd be something that we'd be looking at getting a few other people trained. And that way, we've got a backup to the backup kind of thing for this for full-time person. So yeah, basically we would be hiring them on and sort of entering into this agreement. And so hopefully we can cover all of our bases by having everybody all trained at once, have this new staff member brought up to what these new standards would be when we bring Lumix in and go through this process. And so to do some roles and responsibilities, I do have the job description attached, so I'm not going to read through all of those, but generally they are responsible for the overall function of the airport. They would report to me, and then budget considerations. So depending on, you know, what kind of training they already have, maybe in airport administration or through working at an airport previously, we could have them start at a salary of 62,000 to 72,000, just depending on the training and stuff they receive. And if they successfully complete all the courses that we are providing, we'd be looking at a total salary cost of being around 75,000. So just trying to, you know, make sure that as we train people, incentivize getting training and improving yourself, that also comes with a salary increase. So yeah, again, hoping that staff supports us in trying to find a full-time person. It would definitely help us a lot in making sure that we're, again, doing the crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure that the airport is functioning as it should be to current, you know, regulations, and that they're trained by the best of the best, which is the Lumex Group, and hoping that, yeah, we can start to gain some momentum here at the airport. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, Mayor and Council agree.
Are there any questions, comments from council? I do. Councillor Hatfield?
Sorry, thank you. Becca, I knew before we had a couple of retirees, you know, splitting the. Did that work out, or like, there's a lot of retirees in Wawa, not as much young men available. Would that be even a thought to hire that, or hire somebody?
Yeah, so
Like they could split it?
yeah, so right now that's what we have is the retirees are taking on these part-time roles, and they're in and out, and it is sometimes hard to track them down. We're like, hey, this paperwork didn't necessarily line up. And then you have to wait for 3 weeks later, and then they forgot what happened, or, you know, they don't recall. And so that's where we're saying that a full-time person that'll be there and responsible for those functions sort of day in, day out, would definitely help us with consistency and making sure that, you know, we're doing the administrative functions as best as we can. And there will be still part-time, to supplement this this full-time person, because there are seasonal aspects to the job that require some assistance. So
Thank you.
Councillor Cannon?
Again, I think it's a really good idea to bring somebody full-time on board, just because of the traffic now that you're getting at the airport, to make sure everything is done properly. And it's coming out of the airport budget, right?
yes, that's correct.
Perfect.
Councillor Hoffman, do you have any questions or comments?
I just wanted to say same Kathy did, but just that good luck.
Thank you.
I think you, based on the comments, you're seeking council's endorsement on this approach, and I believe that you've received it.
Thank you.
Item 8.3, Marina Washroom Facilities Construction. Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So while we work through the divestiture process, which I believe council's familiar with, but as a refresher for anybody else listening, that's where Small Craft Harbors is looking to provide us with the marina property. We're almost at the end of that divestiture process, but we're not finished yet. And we've run into a situation where we are supposed to be at that end of that divestiture process before March 31st. We're still finalizing the agreement with Mishpachatan First Nation to operate that facility as a partnership. And until that agreement is finalized, we're not able to unlock the funds that Small Craft Harbors has set aside for us. They have been able to set aside the funds, and they have said that even if we pass the March 31st deadline, we're still able to access those funds. So that's a really big win for us. We do believe that we will be accessing those funds sometime this year, but unfortunately we're running out of a construction window. So I'll remind council, with the 2024 capital budget, the marina washrooms were included under the subject to funding category, and that was subject to the receipt of this funding from Small Craft Harbors. So essentially what we're asking for today is two things. The first thing is to provide us with the money essentially up front so that we can meet our construction deadlines and not have to rent a facility for another year, which we're estimating about a $5,000 a year savings. And the second one is when we do receive the funding, and council will get a copy of that agreement between Small Craft Harbors shortly, that we direct that to a reserve so that it's set aside for the future operations of the marina, so that it can include the interest based off of that funding going to offsetting operating costs at the facility, and that can go to future capital projects. And the intention of that is to make the marina as self-sufficient as possible so that we're really using dollars for the marina from the marina instead of from other sources.
Thank you very much, Alex. Are there any questions or comments from council? Councillor Cannon?
Can you explain the wording that you used? It said, focusing on a minimum service level for the size of facility accessibility. And accessibility. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Sure, yeah. So basically, when we came up with the specifications that I included in this report for the washrooms, there were two areas that we considered. The first one was a service level that we maintain there. So we're not looking for the Taj Mahal down at the facility, like a 10 washroom complex with showers and laundry and all of these things. We're working at that, like what is the minimum that that facility needs to operate? And then the second factor that we looked at is accessibility. So make sure whatever we build down there is AOD accessible. It meets all of the current standards. So essentially what we came up with, and this was both us as a staff group, as well as we went to the Marina Committee and had their advice, was the specifications that are included in this report.
Perfect, thanks.
Councillor Hatfield?
Yes, Alex, I didn't make the last meeting, obviously, you know that, but I was a little upset when they mentioned make sure that the money we get goes into an account and all that. The Marina Committee has to understand that the township has been paying for everything all along. Like where the money goes is to me, it's not important. The township are going to make sure that they know where the money is and everything. But I don't know if they understand that we have been doing the job all along. It's not something we haven't been doing. So I just, you know, I will relay that to the committee the next time. And there was one other thing that, oh, no, Kathy got it. Anyway, that's good. Thank you.
Councillor Hoffman?
I'm looking and it says block construction, like, and is it going to be built above grade? So above the flood line, or is it going to be right on the ground? And then if it floods, it's just not going to rot because it's made out of blocks? Or
That's the intention with block construction and then sealed with epoxy, is so when we do have those types of flood events, it's not a stick and frame building that we have to worry about mold. It's something that we can go in, hose out, disinfect, and then get ready to use again. So the intention is to make it flood resistant. Nothing is going to be flood proof unless we build that, 10 feet in the air. And we don't think that's practical because we also have to make it accessible. So given the need for accessibility, a block building sealed with epoxy is the way to go.
So, Alex, I'm just going to go to your conclusion. So you're looking for council to provide approval for the construction of the washroom facility today to ensure that we can benefit from the cost effectiveness of not having to rent the washrooms.
That's correct. The next steps are essentially releasing a request for proposals. So you can see the specifications I've included will be the same as the specifications on the request for proposals. We will have our typical advertising period as per the purchasing policy. And then once we get pricing in, we will return to council with a memo making a recommendation just like any other capital project.
Okay. So we understand there is a small amount of risk involved in this in the event that the monies from the DFO don't come in. Mm-hmm. But at this point, we believe that there's only a small amount of risk for that.
Yeah, that's correct. There is always the possibility until we have those signed documents from all parties in our hands that this deal could fall through. We feel good about it, or else we wouldn't be bringing it to council. As you know, maybe not so much myself, but Maury is very risk adverse and does not want to bring stuff to council for, large risks. So we both feel that the negotiations have gone relatively well, and it's just a timing question at this point.
Okay, and as somebody who has been involved with those conversations as well, I also feel like it is a risk that we are willing to accept. So,
Mayor Pilo, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had a meeting previous to this one and something came up. Could I ask another question, please?
Certainly.
Alex, at the Heritage meeting, we were talking about the doors. Now, did I understand them right when they said you wanted to hang those doors on the pavilion?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Like,
So those doors were located on the wall of the washroom complex.
yeah.
We removed them from the washroom complex in preparation for its demolition to be replaced by this facility, and we'll replace them on the pavilion, which is essentially where the picnic tables are, instead of being at the washroom complex.
Is that a good idea? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. No,
As long as they're not on the floor, absolutely.
oh, okay. I didn't even know that was an idea, but that's good. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just circle us back to the matter at hand. So, based on the summary that I've given, is there any objection
Nope.
to the proposition that Alex has put forward? Councillor Hatfield, do you have no?
Thank you.
So there is a resolution that's going to be on the next meeting. Perfect. So if there's no other discussion with that, we'll move on to item 8.4, asphalt hot box purchase, and this is a good news story.
Yeah. Hey, Mayor and Council again. So we are really happy to announce that we are going to pursue the purchase of an asphalt hotbox. We use the Canoe program, which is part of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. So it's just another way to procure goods and services. They've already done essentially an RFP process, and then this is the most fair competitor based on their evaluation. And so we had a budget of $180,000 because we were looking, at different equipment suppliers and having to get it up here and get all the training and having that person stay. And the Canoe pricing came in at $54,000 or almost 55, excluding HST. That included them delivering it and training our staff. So we thought that was a really big win, and we're really excited. I was talking with them today, and they told me that we could have it for May. So hopefully we'll have it sooner than later.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Are there any questions, comments? Councillor Hoffman?
The hot box. So now this is for fixing cracks in the, so because on Superior, I noticed some good sized cracks. And I thought now this hot box, if you can dig them out and they could kind of patch it and.
Yep, exactly. So instead of like the traditional cold patch where it's like a granular mix that's just kind of sticky and you tamp it in and you hope it stays, this now it's going to be actually hot asphalt that's malleable. We're going to be able to put it in, mold it the way it needs to be. Hopefully then it adheres better to the other, deteriorated surfaces on the road, smooths it out. And I mean, it's not going to be a perfect fix, but it'll be a much better fix than
It won't replace the paving company, but it will make a better patch.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll have a patch that lasts longer, is more durable, until we, can get around to doing bigger sections of pavement throughout town.
Councillor Cannon?
Well done. Especially the price. I like the price. I mean, I'm glad that we use that Canoe again. I mean, it has been valuable.
It really has. It saved us a lot of staff time and resources trying to do this RFP process. And then they've been so helpful in finding the right, tool for the right job.
And this hot box you can use wintertime and
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And it's diesel fired, which is nice. So we're not handling propane, which is also really good.
Perfect. Thanks.
Councillor Hatfield, do you have anything to add? We have nothing else to add, so we'll move on to item number 12, as we do not have any items in number 9, 10, or 11. So the next meeting date is Tuesday, April 16th, to allow for a break for Easter. So we'll move to item number 13, adjournment, close of meeting. We'll close the meeting at 6:59 p.m. May I please have somebody make a motion to adjourn? Councillor Hoffman? May I have somebody second? Councillor Cannon? All in favor? Carried. And if people will allow us one moment to move on to the next meeting. We will call the meeting to order and note the members present for the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none. Item number 3, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. There are no delegations or presentations, so we will move on to item number 5, announcements of giving of notice. There are multiple announcements listed in the agenda, so I encourage everybody to take a look at those. Does council have any announcements that they'd like to make? No? I'd like to just make a note that today is the first day of spring, so please don't look out your windows today. Spring has officially sprung somewhere else, not in Wawa. But, again, the next meeting date is going to be in observation of the Easter holiday, so it won't be until April. With that said, we'll move on to item number 6, adoption of meeting minutes.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the following minutes of the meetings of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, as contained on pages 1 to 10, inclusive of the minute book. Minutes of a special meeting of council held on Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, as contained on pages 1 to 2, inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 7, correspondence. As usual, there are a number of items listed under correspondence. Maury, is there anything that council should pay particular attention to?
Thank you, Mayor. We did receive a lot of correspondence in the last couple of weeks, but of note, some of the correspondence will be have accompanying resolutions, so it's in that section of the agenda. But for correspondence, the Algoma District Social Administrative Board has provided its 2024 budget summary and apportionments for the communities, and council has a copy of that. It was within the budgeted amount that we had estimated for the budget. The Algoma Public Health, the board itself, as council had passed a resolution indicating its non-agreement with the merger of the Sudbury Health Unit and Algoma Health Unit, but the board itself of the Algoma Health Unit also voted against the merger. And so a copy of that correspondence is noted for council. And there's been a lot of correspondence that's come forward to council regarding the proposed lab closures of the Algoma Health. So there's correspondence there and other communities looking for supports of the resolutions. And in the resolution section, council can indicate whether it supports or doesn't support the future lab closures. And lastly, we don't have a resolution on this meeting, but would look for council direction on the next regular meeting. The city of Quinte West has a resolution where they're asking the provincial government to release some of the housing funds that have been made available and are being announced almost daily for large municipalities who have met their housing goals. And as of yet, we do not know as small communities when or what our portion would be. So a resolution report would come to council in April, if we haven't heard by then, asking the provincial government to make it known when we might and what that amount might be to help us support to build housing. So that's a summary of some of the correspondence.
Thank you very much, Maury. Are there any questions? We'll move on to item number 8, consent agenda 8.1.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the items listed under the consent agenda 8.2 to 8.5 be approved as recommended.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, staff reports / memos.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that Council of the Municipality Wawa does hereby receive the following staff reports and memos. A, Protective Services Department, February 24 monthly report. B, Infrastructure Services Department, January and February monthly report. C, Finance Department, February monthly report. Community Services and Tourism Department, February monthly report. CAO Corporate Services Department, January and February report. DW-RB 2024-06, Municipal Airport Services Agreement, the Lumex Group. DBRB 2024-07, Municipal Aerodrome Staffing Plan. AP 2024-07, Marina Report, Construction of Permanent Washroom Facilities. And DBRW Memo, Asphalt Hot Box Purchase.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 10, business arising out of previous meeting. There is none. Item number 11, new business.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, second by Councillor Cannon, whereas the Auditor General's report and recommendations regarding Public Health Ontario were released on December 6, 2023, and whereas should the report's recommendations be accepted by the Ministry of Health, it would lead to the closure of 6 Public Health Ontario labs, including the Public Health Lab in Sault Ste. Marie, and whereas these closures will result in the most northern public health lab being situated in Thunder Bay, which will lead to further inequities in healthcare for residents in Northern Ontario, especially compared to Southern Ontario, and adversely affect Wawa residents who would have to travel 6 hours to reach public health lab services versus the 2 hours it currently takes. And whereas these closures will lead to a significant loss of public health expertise in the Algoma district, in Wawa, and in northeastern Ontario, with the positions of the labs, including 4 medical laboratory technologists, ending at a time where public health expertise has proven to be a critical asset in assisting with the many public health challenges faced in Northern Ontario. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa communicate to Minister of Health Sylvia Jones that it strongly objects to the closure of the Public Health Lab in Sault Ste. Marie due to the profound impact it will have on public health in Northern Ontario and Wawa residents. And furthermore, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Minister of Health, MPP Michael Mantha, municipalities in the Algoma District, Phenom, and Premier Doug Ford.
All in favor? Carried. Item 11.2.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby support the resolution passed by the Municipality of St. Charles on February 21st, 2024, regarding guaranteed livable income, a copy attached here too, and furthermore, that a copy of this resolution be sent to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Premier Doug Ford, Minister of Children, Community and Social Services, Ryan Williams, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, our local members of Parliament, Carol Hughes, and our local member of Provincial Parliament, Michael Mantha, and all Ontario municipalities.
All in favor? Carried. Item 11.3.
It's a big pile. Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby support the resolution passed by the Town of Lincoln, passed on February 28, 2024, regarding urgent need for increased funding to libraries and museums in Ontario, a copy which is attached here too. And furthermore, that this resolution be sent to Premier Doug Ford, the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport, Neil Lumsden, at the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities in Ontario.
All in favor? Carried. Item 11.4.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon. Resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby support the resolution passed by the Township of Amaranth, passed on February 28, 2024, regarding pausing advancement on proposed Highway 413 and redirecting the appropriate $8 billion cost for Highway 413 to support municipal infrastructure costs and housing construction initiatives, a copy of which is attached here too. And furthermore, that a copy of this resolution be circulated to Premier Doug Ford, the Minister of Infrastructure, Kinga Surma, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all municipalities in Ontario.
All in favor? Carried. 11.5.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Hatfield, whereas during the development of the Wawa Downtown Community Improvement Plan, the consultant recommended the creation of accompanying design guidelines to provide design directions and recommendations for the development and redevelopment of sites and buildings in downtown Wawa, including use of appropriate materials, building form and styles, consistent furnishing, enhancements through planting, and overall site planning. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby approve the Municipality of Wawa Downtown Community Improvement Plan Urban Design Guidelines, prepared by WSP Consulting and dated March 19th, 2024.
All in favor? Carried. 11.6.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby approve Mayor Melanie Pilon's travel to Blind River, Ontario on April 20th, 2024 to attend in person the Algoma District Municipal Association Spring Meeting.
All in favor? Carried. 11.7.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, whereas the Municipality of Wawa Council and Management staff desire to jointly improve the effectiveness and efficiency of municipal government operations, including its long-term financial planning, and whereas staff recommends that a series of team building and leadership training sessions be held prior to the start of the 2025 budget planning, and has received a proposal from Jeff Lucier, Catalyst Consulting, to undertake a series of workshops to enhance and align the municipal team's performance, to be held on Friday, May 10th and Saturday, May 11th. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa approves to hire Catalyst Consulting to undertake the training as set out in the attached proposal.
All in favor? Carried. 11.8.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby approve staff recommendation from Report AP 2024-06 Marina Washroom Construction, and hereby direct staff to begin the construction of a permanent washroom at the municipal marina. And furthermore, that Council approves that any grant funding received from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, net construction costs and legal costs be allocated to an unrestricted reserve fund.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 12, notice of motion. There are no items listed. Item number 13, bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Cannon and seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 368424 to confirm the proceedings of council at its meetings held on the 13th and 19th day of March 2024. Bylaw number 368524 to adopt a downtown community improvement plan for the municipality of Wawa. Bylaw number 368624 to amend bylaw 3617-23 and enter into a lease agreement with His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Public Infrastructure Renewal respecting the lease of municipal office space to be utilized as a provincial court. Bylaw number 368724 to enter into agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund for funding assistance under the Community Enhancement Program. Bylaw number 368824 to enter into an agreement with His Majesty King of Right of Canada as represented by the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans to transfer ownership of the assets, infrastructure, and capital improvements situated at the Wawa Municipal Marina water lots, along with a financial grant payment to the municipality. Bylaw number 368924 to stop up and close unopened road allowance and sell surplus property on Beck Avenue, Parts 1 to 4, Plan IR 14132. Bylaw number 369024 to fix the rate of taxation for the corporation of the municipality of Wawa and to provide for penalty and interest and default of payments thereof for the year 2024. Bylaw number 369124 to adopt the small class on-farm business subclass in the industrial property class within the corporation of the municipality of Wawa. Bylaw number 369224 for the establishing of tax ratios for the corporation of the municipality of Wawa. Bylaw number 3693-24 to adopt amendment number 01-2024 to the official plan of the municipality of Wawa with respect to policies providing criteria for the zoning and regulation of short-term rental accommodations. And bylaw number 3694-24 to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw 2821-15 of the corporation of the municipality of Wawa.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 14, closed session.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon, resolved that this committee proceed to in camera at 7:15 p.m. in order to address the following matter pertaining to a legal issue and an investigative report and it's related to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local boards under Section 239 2E of the Municipal Act.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 15, return to open session. 15.1.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that council resume to the open meeting session at 7:42 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. There is no business arising from closed session, so we will move to item number 17, next meeting date. 17.1, the next meeting is Tuesday, April 16th. Item number 18, adjournment, close of meeting.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the meeting closed at 7:43 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much to everyone for your hard work this evening.